Alright, so now we are going to begin our discussion on how elasticity behaves along a linear demand curve. We know that in case of a linear demand curve, slope is constant between any 2 points. But this is not the case with elasticity. Elasticity does not behave in this fashion. Elasticity falls as we move down along the demand curve, right? So let's take an example. I am considering a market for coffee, and I'm constructing a hypothetical data. For example, let's say when in the first column I'm taking price, in the second column I'm taking quantity demanded, right? I'll be measuring price in dollars per kg, and I'll be measuring quantity demanded let me zoom in a bit. I'll be taking quantity demanded in thousand kg, right? Now let's say when price of coffee is $0 per kg, quantity demanded is 20,000 kgs. When price increases to $1, quantity demanded reduces to 15,000 kgs. When price further reduces to $2, quantity demanded when price further increases to $2, quantity demanded reduces to 10,000 kgs, right? When price is $4, quantity demanded is 0. Now I want you to focus that every time I'm increasing the price by $1, I'm reducing the quantity by the same amount, 5,000 kgs. Why am I doing this? Because I want to plot a linear demand curve. In case of a linear demand curve, every time price changes by 1 unit, quantity demanded is going to fall by a constant amount. So let's plot the demand curve. Now there is one problem with Excel. Every time by default it always plots the first column on the horizontal axis. In this case it is plotting price on the horizontal axis. So the first change that we must make in this graph is to switch the axis, right? So on the x-axis, I need quantity demanded, right? And on the y-axis, I need price, right? So let's assign a title to this chart. It is market for coffee. Let's label our axis now. The primary horizontal axis is quantity demanded in 1000 kgs, and the primary on the vertical axis I'm taking price in dollars per kg, right? So this is our demand curve. Now there are two more calculations which I want to do. The first calculation I want to do is to calculate the midpoint of this demand curve. You'll come to know later why it is so important to calculate the midpoint. The formula for midpoint is x-intercept divided by 2 and y-intercept divided by 2. Midpoint is basically value of the variable on the x-axis and value of the variable on the y-axis at the midpoint of the demand curve. What is your x-intercept here? And what is your y-intercept here? Naturally, x-intercept is that point at which your graph touches the horizontal axis. In case of demand curve, x-intercept is the value of quantity demanded when price is equal to 0. You can easily spot the x-intercept either by taking the look at the data set or by taking a look at the graph. So x-intercept is basically when price is 0, quantity demanded is 20. So this is your x-intercept. What is your y-intercept? When quantity demanded is 0, price is 4. So 4 is your y-intercept. Let's plug these values in the formula. X-intercept is 20 divided by 2. Midpoint is 20 divided by 2 and 4 divided by 2. Your midpoint is 10. At the midpoint, value of the variable on the x-axis is 10,000 kgs and value of the variable on the y-axis is $2 per kg. Now by chance, this value is already a part of the data set. This is your midpoint. Quantity demanded is 10,000 kgs and price is $2 per kg. This has happened by chance. There is a possibility that when I give you a data set in the exam, it may not include the midpoint. You might have to include it separately, right? So this is the midpoint of the demand curve. Another calculation which I want you to do, calculate the slope. There is a built-in formula in Excel to calculate the slope. This is your built-in formula. Naturally, we are not going to use it. We are going to do it manually because in the exam, you won't have the facility of using Excel. So what is the formula for slope? Change in the variable on the y-axis divided by change in the variable on the x-axis, right? This is, let's expand this formula. This is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. In case of demand curve, this is basically P2 minus P1 divided by Q2 minus Q1. Let's say we are moving from a price of 0 to a price of 1. Okay, let's say we are moving from price of 0 to a price of 1. So your P2 is equal to 1 and your P1 is equals to 0 because you're moving from 0 to 1. And your QD2, what is a QD2 and QD1? As you're moving from 0 to 1, you are basically moving from a quantity of 20,000 to a quantity of 15,000. So your QD2 is 15 and your QD1 is equal to 20. So let's plug these values in the formula. P2 yani 1 minus P 1 minus 0 divided by Q2 minus Q1, 15 minus 20. This is equal to 1 divided by minus 5, 0.2, negative 0.2. So this is the slope of your demand curve. Alright, now in the next video, I'll take this discussion forward.